Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. I truly hope that you have all been doing well in this beautifully chaotic place that we call Earth. I'm so sorry that this video has been delayed. I have been having the hardest time getting this video out. The first thing I had to overcome was dealing with the flu. That is why this video is delayed as late as it is. I also uploaded the video yesterday, and part of the video didn't have any sound in it. And I didn't realize that until I went back through and was waiting for it to process and do all those things that it was doing. And so it has been just a wild ride, but I am thankful that you are here, that you are checking this out. Even with all of the craziness going on, I am excited as always to come and speak with you because there is so much that is going on in this crazy world that we live in. So with that being said, I want to just dive in. As I mentioned to you earlier, I'm getting over the flu, and you may hear that in my voice right now. I can hear it coming in through my monitor, so you may be picking that up. And it was one of those flus that it just hit me out of nowhere. And I don't know if you've ever had that experience before where you're just like everything is cool and then all of a sudden it just hits you. That's what this thing did to me. This past weekend, I had the opportunity to go and visit with this company that I've been having chats with as I've been in this interview process, if you recall from the very first episode. And this company and I, we've been having really good conversations. And so they just said, why don't we just fly you out? You come out here, see if we're a good fit for you. We'll check and see if you're a good fit for us, and then we'll just go from there. And so I said, yeah, that sounds great. They said they were going to fly me out, and it was only going to be for 4 days. And so I don't know if you're like me, where I live at, it's really cold here in Pennsylvania. I didn't want to bring a big coat onto the flight, right? I didn't want to pack a big suitcase and have to deal with the check-in and all of that crazy stuff. So I just packed up my carry-on bag and I just went, put my hoodie on, drove to the airport thinking everything is going to be okay. Because I didn't want to wear that big coat. Again, I don't know if you're like me, but when I'm wearing my big winter coat, I hate to do things, for example, like drive. I hate driving with that thing on because I feel constricted the whole time. And so that was the thought process that went into not bringing my winter coat. I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, this is going to be awful if I'm sitting on that flight and okay, so like there's this thing that's going around where big girls are coming out and they're talking about how they've been offended because, like an airplane or an air flight company or whatever says that they can't get on there because they're too big or they have to buy 2 seats. I saw this video of this girl and she was upset with a farm because she wanted to go horseback riding and they said she was too big to go on the horse. So like there's this trend that's going out with big girls and they're trying to like empower them and all of those things. And so they're talking about how they're the victims of stuff, right? And a slight part of me, just a tiny part of me, understood it because I don't know who the people are that are manufacturing these planes. I don't know where the heck they get these dimensions from, but I just ask myself anytime I have to get on a flight, have they ever seen a normal sized person? Now, I've experienced good things when I'm sitting in first class, but that is very rare. Up in first class, you get all the leg room, you get all the width, you get everything that you could ask for. But in the back, when you're sitting in economy, even economy plus, I just sit there and I say, have they ever seen a normal sized human being? So I get it. That's my one way to connect with just some of the crazy stuff that's going on in our world. I ask myself that question. What the heck are they thinking with these flights? And so I was just sitting there imagining, here I am, I'm a big guy, I'm 6'3", I'm a big dude, right? Anyway. So I just thought it was going to be awful, so I didn't bring it. I didn't bring my coat. And I'm just thinking the whole time, there's no way that it's going to be as cold as it is in Pennsylvania. Where I'm going, there's no way that it's going to be as cold. And man, I get out there and it is raining, and it was that freezing rain. You know what I'm talking about? That rain that when it hits you in the face, like it stings, it hurts. So it was awful. And everything is stacked up against me now in this moment, okay? I'm running back and forth to all these different meetings, and I don't have my coat. I'm bald. I forgot my toboggan or my cap, whatever y'all call it where you're from. We call it a toboggan out here. And so that's just that cold air. Everything's just rushing off of my head. And I'm just thinking, there is no way this is happening to me. And so Monday comes, man, and I am dragging. And Monday's the worst day of all because I have like 6 or 7 meetings that I had to go to meet all, because I had to go meet like the executive team and the people that would be on my team and all of that kind of stuff, you know? So I go and meet all these people and I am just done. I'm just done. So that's what you're hearing right now. That phlegmy sound that's just stuck in the back of your throat. That's what's going on right now. But I bring all of that up because I had a really good meeting with one of the people that were on the team. He decided that he asked me if I wanted to go get breakfast, and the place that he decided to go was a really cool local restaurant. And I liked it because when I walked in there, it's that restaurant style that has the open concept. And so when I'm in there, I can see the the servers and everybody back there doing their thing. You can see the people that are cooking. And when I get back there, or when I look back there, guess what they were cooking on? Oh, it would have been a nightmare for ALC. It would have been a nightmare for these virtue signalers, right? They were cooking with gas stoves. And I loved it. I loved it so much when I saw that. Like, it literally made me jump for joy on the inside. And so the whole time I'm having this conversation, and it was a really great meeting that I had, but the whole time I'm having this conversation, I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, man, the world is cooking with gas right now. The world is cooking with gas right now. And I'm stunned by it because, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't it wrong for us to be using gas? I mean, that's what the media tells us. The media tells us, the country tells us, they are yelling at us right now that to cook with gas is wrong all of a sudden. And I crack up when I hear how these people just randomly come up with these ideas out of nowhere. We've been cooking with gas forever. And then all of a sudden, they bring this stuff out, and it's all with the intent to scare you, right? When I was thinking about that, it reminds me of when I was a kid. Back home, I grew up in Indianapolis, and when we were at home, Fox 59 was the station that had The Simpsons on it. And that was our news channel and all of those different things, right? But I'd be in the middle of watching The Simpsons or something, and they would have a commercial come on, and they'd say, 15 different things that are deadly, and you might be eating them. Find out tomorrow at 6. Okay, well, that's one way to make people want to click, right? I don't know if you guys had that back when you were younger, but like everybody would want to tune in to see what in the world are they talking about? What is this thing? 10 things that are dangerous that your dog is carrying. You got to tune in tomorrow to find out. That was the equivalent of them getting their clicks, right? That was the clickbait of the time. Man, showing how old I'm getting. That was the clickbait of the time. 15 things that are dangerous and you might be eating them. And you didn't even know it. Now they're trying to scare us with those things. And now they're trying to scare us with gas. And I'm not talking about like a fun scare. I'm talking about like a genuine, make you terrified, scared. They tell us to use gas is wrong in everything. To use gas is wrong. You need to be driving an electric car. You need to be cooking with an electric stove. I live in Pennsylvania, super liberal, very blue state. As you know, we elected John Fetterman. So come on, right? It doesn't get any more blue than that. But I live in this state and I have people that will literally say things to us like, don't cook or don't mow your grass with gas mowers. You got to use an electric mower or an electric edger, electric snow blower. Everything has to be electric because gas is wrong in every way, shape, and form. But as I was thinking about that, it's only wrong for us to use it. It's only wrong for us to use it. See, the hypocrisy of the media, these people in power, is absolutely ridiculous. I tell people all the time, man, like you have to laugh to keep from crying, right? These people, they yell at us constantly about, you got to protect the earth. You have to protect the earth. Meanwhile, you can go online and you can see things like Jill Biden cooking with a gas stove, Elizabeth Warren cooking with a gas stove, Michelle Obama, AOC, the list goes on and on and on of these people that are cooking with a gas stove. Just drives me crazy because They yell at us. They yell at us to be kind to Mother Earth. They said, you got to be kind to Mother Earth. Do you remember Ellen DeGeneres a couple of weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago? I don't remember the time, but it was during the when California was getting a bunch of rain. Ellen goes onto her Instagram. I don't follow her. I kept seeing it popping up in my stream. Ellen goes onto her Instagram and she says that, well, so she's standing in her backyard. I want to paint a clear picture for you. She's standing in her backyard. There's a creek that's back there. And what she says is that this creek hardly has any water in it ever. Now it's like rushing past and filling up and all of this stuff. And she's standing there and she says to us, be kind to Mother Earth because she's not happy. Now she's saying that to us. Okay. Mother Earth isn't happy. Okay. Now, is that just to me, or does that also mean that she's not happy that you have your Porsche collection? Because I didn't hear her mention that. Now, maybe she's gotten rid of it. Maybe she doesn't have it anymore. But I do know that Ellen had a Porsche collection. So is Mother Nature just mad at me, or is she mad at that as well? Those are the questions that never get brought up. And to me, here's the thing. I don't care that she has a Porsche collection. I'm not even trying to throw Ellen's name out there for clout or to mock her or anything like that, because I don't care that she has that. I do care about Mother Earth, right? And I'll even go so far as to say I love Mother Earth. We only have one of her. And so I do the best that I can to be a good steward of the beauty that she provides to us. You know, so I don't do things like I don't litter on the ground. Okay. I get so frustrated when I see people throw their garbage on the ground. My dad owned a sweeping company. So we used to go out and pick up parking lots and different things like that. And you can just see how filthy people can be. They just throw garbage all over the place. I mean, thankfully for my dad, it, gave him a business and all of those things, but that stuff drives me crazy. That drives me crazy almost as much as the people that leave their carts in the middle of the parking lot. Like, who do you think you are? That stuff drives me crazy. But I don't get driven mad by it because I think that the world is going to implode if people do this. I do get frustrated by it because I don't want to live in a crappy place. I don't want to live in a California. I don't want to live in an El Paso where, and I'm talking about the real El Paso that they showed, not the one where they cleaned it up when Joe Biden came down there for his photo op, the real one that they showed where the illegal immigrants are flowing in and setting up their shanty towns and throwing filth all over the place. That's the place that I don't want to live. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live in a place that looks like a dump. So that's why I recycle. I try to recycle. I don't recycle everything, but I recycle when I can. But I recycle. I make sure I don't throw my garbage on the ground. All of that kind of stuff. I do it because I don't want to live in a place that looks like a dump. I'm not afraid that the earth is going to explode. But it's more than that, right? I also do it because of other things. And now I'm like, I love animals. And this is a big one for me. Now, I love to eat them. Don't get me wrong. I am a meat eater. Okay. I love it. Hunting, fishing, all of that stuff is dope. I love all of that stuff. But I'm also fascinated by nature. I love animals. When I was a kid, I used to watch shows like Big Cat Diaries and Animal Planet. I wanted to be a oceanographer. Like I had all of these different dreams and aspirations that I wanted. I love animals. I love to be out in nature. I love to hike. I love to do all of these different things just to see the beauty of God. I love all of that stuff. I don't want to see animals that are getting entangled in our garbage. You see those commercials of those ducks that they have to clean off with soap because they're covered in oil, or the pictures of the animals that have the soda cans around their neck, or not the cans, but the plastic rings around their neck. Like that stuff genuinely does make me sad. I remember this one time I've told you I'm a pastor, and I remember I was working at this place in Uniontown, Pennsylvania, and the pastor and I, the senior pastor, I was the associate pastor, we were having a meeting, and when we got done, we were walking out, and as we were coming out the front door, we had this awning, and there was this bird that was hanging upside down. Its feet were entangled in those like strings that you put on a balloon, and you could just see the dread in its face. And I remember sitting there saying, oh my gosh, we got to do something about it. So we went and I grabbed a ladder and we began to, hold the bird and cut the string off. And anyway, it flew off, and it was just like, oh wow, that was rewarding. That was a beautiful thing to see. And so I asked myself that question: why do people throw their garbage down on the ground? I mean, have you seen the videos of Los Angeles? It looks horrible. It looks like a dump out there. I don't know why people do that, but I don't ask that question again. This isn't me trying to sit on my high horse and think that I'm better than everybody. I don't ask that question because I'm afraid that the oceans are going to rise and that the earth is going to collapse on itself and all of these other horrible things that they paint for us. I don't do it because of those things. And I know that that's not all of the stuff that people with climate change and global warming talk about. I understand that. I know that they talk about CO2 emissions and all of this other crazy stuff, but I don't believe that the earth is going to collapse because of this thing called global warming. I don't believe that. Same way that I don't believe that Al Gore thinks that. Right? I don't think that Barack Obama thinks that or John Kerry thinks that just because their actions don't line up with what they're saying. I don't believe that they truly believe that this is going to be the end. I think that they do it because they know that there's money to be made in this business. See, here's the thing. The same way that I talked about the news and how they used to say things to us, whatever I said, 20 things or whatever that can kill you if you don't stop eating it. The same way that they threw that out there back then to scare you is the same way I think that they throw numbers out to scare you now. I remember the speech where Al Gore, he was at the COP15 climate change conference in Copenhagen. I remember this. And in this presentation, he said, some models suggest, and he was talking about some scientists. I can't say their name, nor do I remember their name. He names them. You can go find this video on YouTube. But he's quoting some other global scientist or something like that, right? But this is what he said. He says, some models suggest that there is a 75% chance that the entire North Polar ice cap during some of the summer months could be completely ice-free within the next 5 to 7 years. That's what he said. Now, that was in 2009. That has not happened. And you can, of course, go, like I said, and look this up. Now, be careful, because when you look it up, you're going to see all of these fact check websites that are going to pop on there, and they're going to say, you know, things like, well, this is misleading. He didn't mean it that way. That's not a prediction he made, yada, yada, yada. I'm sure that they're totally not biased. I'm just so positive that they're not biased, right? So, but they're going to pop up to defend him and make you think that you're the crazy one. So you have to push through it, watch the footage for yourself. He does say that video footage exists. He did make that prediction. He said there's a 75% chance that this could happen. But those numbers are designed to scare you, because it's been like this since forever. They've been talking about global warming since JFK. They've been talking about it since Lyndon B. Johnson, Jimmy Carter. They've been saying the same old thing over and over. And to me, I'm like, okay, listen, because I can be stubborn, right? I can be stubborn, but I'm not closed-minded. So let's say that they are correct. All right, let's just say that they're correct. How about you get some concrete data together? Get an actual plan. And instead of making these predictions that are designed to make people afraid, how about you take your time, come up with an actual prediction that is going to come true, and then bring it out there? Because the problem is, you make these predictions, the oceans are going to rise in 10 years, and then they don't rise, or they rise like, I don't know, like a smidge. And it makes people skeptical. It's one of the reasons that I'm skeptical. So get your stuff together. Is that too much to ask for? I genuinely am asking that question. Is that too much to ask for? Can we get that from you? Again, I know that we're all never going to be on the same page when it comes to things like global warming. There are people that are staunchly, this is so true, this is the way that it is. Okay. They bring you statistics and science. Okay. But then you can also find people, scientists, that say this is not real. There's two sides of the argument. To me, I just say, why do you always want to try to force your stuff onto other people? I'm not forcing my way onto other people. I know that people are going to continue to throw garbage on the ground. I know people are going to continue, for whatever reason, to leave their carts in the middle of a parking lot. That is never going to change. I'm not going to go out here and make a big to-do about it. Why do we always have to try to force our way of thinking onto other people? What has that gotten us? I just wish that they would quit trying to force this stuff onto people, but they can't do that because there's too much money to be made in this business. I was looking all of this stuff up. Al Gore is worth $330 million. From working for the people? That doesn't make sense, right? John Kerry, worth $250 million. These are what the reports say. I don't know them. I'm just reading the reports. So it seems that climate change has been awfully good to these men. So I have to ask the question. When I see these things, when I hear them yell, when I see these conferences, all of this stuff that they do, I have to ask, do they really care? Because see, if they truly believed what they were saying, if carbon emissions were so bad for the earth, and if all of this stuff is really going to happen in 10 years, and if we don't cut all these emissions down and all of this stuff, then wouldn't they stop flying their private jets? I need somebody genuinely to help me understand here. Private jets, according to BitLux Travel, private jets burn 5,000 gallons of fuel per hour. When you look up those statistics, that is equivalent to 400 passenger cars. Now, there's this big study out there of all of these celebrities that are using their private jets. I'm not going to call them out, but you can go and look and see. They fly into the Super Bowl. They fly to these wherever they're flying to, concerts, all of this stuff. I'm not going to call anybody out because I don't know which celebrities are saying climate change, and which ones aren't. So I have no beef with these people that are flying private. I want to fly private one day. I'm just going to throw it out there right now. I'm speaking it into existence. I want to fly private at least once in my life. That being said, I am going to call out the people at the World Economic Forum. They go there to this conference claiming that it's to talk about fighting climate change, and they fly their private jets in there. This is what they do. They have the audacity to yell at us, to say how bad we are, and this is what they're doing. I want you to see this link. This is what it says. Hundreds of ultra-short private jet flights to Davos revealed as global leaders head into World Economic Forum. This is what they do. The research commissioned by Greenpeace International and conducted by Dutch environmental consultancy CE Delft found that during the week of last year's World Economic Forum, this is be 2022, 1,040 private jet flights arrived and departed out of airports serving the Swiss luxury ski resort Davos, with about every second flight attributed to the meeting. 53% were short-haul flights below 750 kilometers that could have easily been train trips, with 38% flying ultra-short distances of under 500 kilometers, and the shortest flight recorded was only 21 kilometers. Countries with the highest number of arrivals and departures out of Davos airports included neighboring countries, Germany, France, and Italy. This is what these people do. This is what they do. Again, that article said that there were 1,040 flights that these private jets were taking last year at Davos, 2022. That equals, when you start to do the math, 9,700 tons of CO2 that went into the air. Have these people never heard of a Zoom meeting? Seriously. Remember when they made us do that, when they locked everything down? Did they not? They're too good to do Zoom? Have these people ever heard of carpooling? Help me understand what these people are thinking, because to me, that seems hypocritical. Again, these are numbers from 2022. I don't have the numbers from 2023. Maybe maybe they've dropped down. I don't know. But how dare these people lecture us that they are so good, they're so much holier than us, so much better, and they're just as guilty as we are. Now, here's why I say that the world is cooking with gas, okay? And I'm not literally talking about the act of cooking. I'm talking about they're gaslighting us, because they actually have convinced people that it's okay for them to fly private because it's about saving the planet. This is what they need to do. They have created a list of people that claim to be climate activists that will fight on their behalf to say that what they're doing is okay. I want you to look at this article that defends these people flying private. It says, flying isn't the source of our global warming problems, so let's focus our energies elsewhere. This is what they say to us. Here's one of the lines. If you're so worried about global warming, then why would you fly so much? Now, that's the question that I'm asking. Here's what they say in response to that. It's one of the most frequent criticisms from climate change deniers rather than engage in substantive debate about science of climate change and the apocalyptic effect it will have on our lives, they resort to personal attacks. This is what they say. Listen to how they phrase that, man. Apocalyptic effect. This is how they speak to us, though. See, they want you to realize that they're not the problem. I love how they gaslight us by saying that we resort to personal attacks. Is that not what those people do all the time? I'm genuinely asking that question. Is that not what they do? How many times have you seen these people in videos online, social media, where they're sitting in the middle of the road blocking the highways, and they say that it's a way to fight climate change, global warming? How many times have you seen that? How many times have we seen videos where they do things like go into the museum and glue themselves to paintings and destroy the art? We've seen that. I remember one time I saw this video. I think that the girls were from Switzerland. Don't quote me on that. But they walked into a grocery store and they started dumping all of the milk onto the floor. Just came in and started pouring it out. This is what they do. And they say that we're the problem. These people personally attack us all the time. They call us names. They say that we're the bad guys. They yell at us. They tell us how bad we are, how wrong we are. We need to change. You remember Greta Thunberg's famous, her famous speech when she's sitting there yelling at us as a teenager? How dare you? How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words and all of these different things that she said. Okay, let's do the math. Greta Thunberg is 20 years old. Seems like she had her childhood. She's an adult now. Seems like nobody stole that from her. And seeing that, and I couldn't find an exact number, but when I looked her up online to see what her net worth was, it says she's worth over $1 million. Again, don't have an exact number, but it doesn't seem like she's been hurting too much. Climate change has been awfully good to you, Greta. And the thing is I'm not even mad at her. I'm not even mad at her. I know that she is a puppet of the rich. She's a puppet of her parents pimping her out so that they can get her famous, so that they can live off the teat, right? I think about that and I'm just like, this is disheartening because we see this all the time. Parents are doing this anyway. That's a topic for another day. But what kills me is that when they are attacking us common people, I always find it interesting that they leave out certain statistics. So again, if we go back to private jets, and let's just say that article's true, flying is not that big of a deal, whatever. Here's the thing. That's just crazy to me that they leave out statistics like this, that 15% of people, these are the people that fly private, that this 15% of people on the planet make up 70% of the emissions that go into the air. Think about that. 15% of the people on this planet make up 70% of the emissions that go into the air. See, those are numbers that they never give to you. Now, again, that's a study, just being fully transparent with you. That's a study that I found from 2014. It was written by the UK government. So I don't know how accurate it is today, but that's the best information that I could find. That 15% of the people flying private make up 70% of the gas that goes into the air, or the CO2 that goes into the air. They don't highlight those types of numbers, though. They don't tell you things like we need to be better as well. They don't say that stuff to you. They gaslight us. They say that you're the bad person. I'm the bad person. That together we're all bad people except for them. This is happening in all areas of our lives, not just happening when it comes to global warming. Where I live, again, in Pennsylvania, the grocery stores have stopped letting you use plastic bags. Really? They stopped using plastic bags. They literally took them away. You cannot use them. You have to bring in reusable bags or you have to purchase paper bags. And they do it because they say to us that plastic is bad and you can't use it. Now, again, we could get into ESG scores and all of those things of why companies are trying to go woke. We can do all of that. Again, that's another topic for another day. But I bring up the point because they're not going to tell you those things. That's not what they're going to say. They say to us the reason that they do it is because we're bad. We're hurting the earth. We're making the earth a more dangerous place. But my question is, if the world is truly going to end, then why just get rid of my plastic bags? See, I don't understand why nobody asks those types of questions. Why is it wrong for me to carry my groceries to the car in a plastic bag and into my house in a plastic bag, but you can still carry your brands in plastic? When's the last time you drank from a water bottle? I go to the store, your store brand. Now, this same store that doesn't let us use plastic bags to carry our groceries home, you can have your water in a plastic bottle. It's your store's brand. Your store's brand will have your lettuce and your other foods to keep them fresh contained in plastic packages. If the purpose is to save the planet, why don't you need to show us how it's done? Why don't you show us how it's done? See, those type of things aren't addressed because they're gaslighting you to make you see that you are the bad person. You're awful in their eyes. You are the ones that are destroying Mother Earth. It's not the people that are making millions or even billions or companies that are making trillions. It's not those people. It's us. Where I live at, people will argue with me and they will say things like, Michael, it has to start somewhere. It has to start somewhere. Okay. All right, that's fine. It has to start somewhere. Why does it always got to start with us? Why do we always got to be the guinea pig? You mean to tell me that these fools can't take a train when they're out in Davos? Again, it's one thing to fly in there, but then you got to fly to every destination you go to. You can't take the train. That's what the article said. You mean to tell me I've seen those waters that come in the milk, the old, the milk cartons that we used to use in elementary school that had the good chocolate milk, those cartons. I've seen water in those. Why ain't they selling their water in those boxes? How come they aren't selling their food and things other than plastic? See, they never have to answer for that. They never have to answer for those things. And people, again, that say, Michael, it starts with us. Okay, how long will it be until the companies do the same thing that they're yelling at us about? How long is it going to be? See, it's all you. You just don't understand, Michael. Michael, you just don't understand. Yeah, you're right. I don't understand. I'm not denying that. I don't understand how I am the huge contributor to climate change. It's never them. It's always us. I don't understand how a gas stove has become an issue now. Listen, I mean, if we're going to get into it, let's really get into it. I don't understand how a cow's farts are something that the government says that they're going to regulate. Are you kidding me? That is a natural thing. These poor farmers are out here trying to make a living, trying to do their thing, and they're getting raked over the coals because of this new Greenpeace bullcrap that they're trying to spout. They're trying to regulate a cow's farts? Really? That is a natural freaking thing that animals do. It's a natural thing that people do. How long is it going to be till they come after our farts? How long is it going to be? And you have to ask that question. They're regulating those. Why couldn't they try to do that to us? See, that's how crazy this stuff is getting, and I don't understand it. You're right, I don't understand. Just like I don't understand the issue with Hunter Biden's laptop. I don't understand Hunter Biden's laptop. Help me out here. Help this story make sense to me, please. So we got Abby Lowell. I think that's how you say his attorney's name. Abby Lowell. I don't know. But we have Abby Lowell, Hunter's lawyer. He sends a letter to the DOJ. And for those of you that don't know, allegedly, Hunter Biden takes his laptop into a computer store in Delaware, and he just apparently leaves it there. And this person that had it was trying to get a hold of it. Mac is his name, was trying to get a hold of Hunter, and Hunter wouldn't come. And so it came this big spectacle that we have now, because apparently there was leaked information from this laptop that Hunter and his team claims doesn't exist. But help me understand this. If it doesn't exist, Hunter's lawyer sent a letter to the DOJ, and in it, this is what he says. He said, this failed, dirty political trick directly resulted in the exposure, exploitation, and manipulation of Mr. Biden's private and personal information. He also wrote, Mr. Mac Isaac, that's the store owner, who is the person who owned the laptop store that Hunter brought his laptop in, had the hard drive, all of that stuff that I said, right? He's a store owner. It says that Mr. Mac's intentional, reckless, and unlawful conduct allowed for hundreds of gigabytes of Mr. Biden's personal data without any discretion to be circulated around the internet. That's what the letter said. You can go find it online. Okay. So this letter goes out, and now there are many people that are coming out and speaking on it, and they're saying this sounds like an admission that the laptop exists, that it exists, and that it does indeed belong to Hunter. This is what people are out here saying now. Now, that's what I gathered from it when I read these letters. This is an admission. Okay, now we can say that it's real. Why were they gaslighting us for so long saying it wasn't real? But to put matters to bed, this is what Hunter's lawyer follows up with when he's speaking to the Post. He says, these letters do not confirm Mac Isaac's or others' versions of a so-called laptop. Now, in the previous letter, he said it released gigabytes and information of, okay, that's computer talk. But he said this does not confirm the laptop. He says in the letter, they address their conduct of seeking, manipulating, and disseminating what they allege to be Mr. Biden's personal data, whatever they claim to have gotten it from, or wherever they claim to have gotten it from. So he follows it up by saying, I'm not saying that the laptop is real. That's what they're saying here. Okay, well, that makes it very clear. You're talking about gigabytes, but now you're saying that the laptop isn't real. You're not confirming that he does indeed have it. You need to get yourself a better team, Hunter. You need a better team. Because this doesn't seem to make any sense to me. He's saying just move on from it because there is nothing to see here, people. Okay? So this is just a completely routine thing for lawyers to do. That they just write letters to the Department of Justice to make sure that they go after anyone that mentioned Hunter's laptop, and to go after the man that owns the computer store that Hunter allegedly brought his computer to. That seems like such a normal thing. Because that's what you do. That's what you do about stories that aren't true. You get the DOJ involved. The Department of Justice has nothing better to do. And I sometimes wonder if they do. But if you question it at all, then you're the problem. You're the bad guy. Now, all of this information is out there that would allege that that would lead somebody to believe that he does indeed have this laptop out there, but they're gaslighting you. If you think that this is me confirming it, you're wrong. Okay. You're the jerk, not us. Okay. Let's keep going, man. Another crazy thing that just happened that I don't understand. You know Dylan Mulvaney? Dylan Mulvaney is this transgender man that is claiming that he's a woman now. He's super famous for it. He has this series on Instagram or something, like on TikTok or something, that says X amount of days of being a girl. It's so insulting. Anyway, Dylan Mulvaney just revealed his new woman facial feminization surgery. All right. Woman facial feminization. Oh, God. This happens on Instagram. He has this big reveal, or on TikTok. I don't know. I saw it on Instagram. But it's this big reveal. It was all the rage. It was popping up all over my timeline. And there were so many people that were applauding her. And they were saying that she looked so good. She's so beautiful. Now, I will give him credit for this. In his post after his surgery, he said something. He said, not all trans people desire affirming surgeries or hormones, yet they're still trans. And honestly, when I read that, that didn't piss me off that much. It's not as much as the other stuff that he does. There's another guy, Jeffrey Marsh. They are just, oh my God. But that didn't bother me as much. And it didn't bother me because he called it what it was, trans. Okay, let them, you can have that word. It's when they start calling themselves woman is when I start to get riled up and other people start to get riled up, because he is not a woman. He's not a woman. A woman that is trans is not a man. Okay? And a man that is claiming to be a woman is not a woman. And men cannot get pregnant. God, I mean, I don't care how many times they yell at you, men cannot get pregnant. They can't. But take a look at this video and see how they gaslight you, okay? I want you to see this with me. This is Kiara Bridges, and she is a law professor at Berkeley. And she's in a Senate hearing with Josh Hawley. And you may have seen this. This was like a really big deal when it first came out. And this is how she reacts during this discussion. She's at a committee hearing. He's asking her questions, and this is how she responds to him. Check this out.
Professor Bridges, you said several times, you've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing that.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's important
because of my line of questioning? So we can't talk about it?
Because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist
I'm
is
denying that
dangerous.
trans people exist by asking you if you're talking about women having pregnancies?
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can get
So you are
pregnant.
denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to violence? Is this how you run your classroom? Are students allowed to question you?
Absolutely.
Or are they also treated like this, where
No,
they're
they're
told
allowed
that
to
they're
question me.
opening up people to violence?
We have a good
by
time in my
questioning.
class. You should join.
Oh, I bet.
You might
There's that. You see how they talk to you? You see how they gaslight you, I guess I should say. You see that? Immediately, they go into the name calling, talking to you like you're the idiot. Let me get this straight. You're at a committee hearing arguing that men can get pregnant and we're the idiots. Okay. All right. You're trying to guilt us now by saying that a trans person will kill themselves if I don't say that she can get she can get pregnant. She can get pregnant. No, he's a he. He can get pregnant. A trans man that is pregnant is not the same as a man getting pregnant. That is a woman that is pretending to be a man, but they refuse to accept that. I want you to see an article. This is what they think of you. This is how they think of us. Transgender men can get pregnant. Here's what they wish more people understood. Look at this. I mean, this is insulting, right? So they're talking to this person, and I just want you to hear this right here. It said, I had a really hard pregnancy, Wakefield, who's the transgender. I think it's the white guy. But also uses they them pronouns, tells Yahoo Life during emergency room visits, Wakefield says they were met with snickers from nurses as well as doubt, disbelief, and a lack of knowledge from physicians ill-equipped to handle their needs. Yeah, the physician, the person that has dedicated their lives to medicine is the one with the issue. Now, there's not going to be any sound to this one, but I just want you to see this because this is what they think of you right here. That is a woman pretending to be a man. This is what they think of you. Transgender men can get pregnant. Here's what they wish that you knew. Here's what they wish you understood. It's so insulting. And people will say to me, but Michael, why do you care? They ask me that question. Why do you care? Why does it bother you so much that men can get pregnant? Why does it bother you so much? It just doesn't make sense. If you say the word trans, okay, just call them a transgender, call them a trans person, call them whatever. Okay, go do that. Still weird. And I'm not saying that it has to be fine with me. I get that. They don't care about my opinion. That's fine. So I'm not saying that it has to be fine with me because I genuinely don't care what an adult chooses to do with their own body. I do not care. what they choose to do with their body, an adult. So if that's what they want to do, hey, this is still at the moment a free, well, actually, no, it's not. It's a free country as long as you do the things that they want you to do. This is one of the things that's a part of the agenda. So you can do this. So go ahead and do it. That's fine. But when you start yelling at us that trans women are women, no, they're not. We now have something else that is taking place when you start to say those things. And to me, honestly, a lot of people in our world have been, there's a lot of people that feel this way. They're just afraid to speak up. This is not a time to sit on the sideline, folks. This is a big deal. They're not just coming after us and saying that we're idiots. They're coming after your kids. They're coming after the children. And they have been gaslighting so many individuals. I went onto the page, going back to the Dylan Mulvaney thing. I went onto the page to see the responses to his reveal. There's so many people that were sharing likes and so many people having things to say. I read this one comment. It said, "A Breakfast at Tiffany's remake needs to happen with you as Holly." That is an insult to Audrey Hepburn. That's an insult to Audrey Hepburn. Not just because she's one of my celebrity crushes, right? She's absolutely beautiful. I also thought she was a great actress. But that's an insult to her. He's a man. And you're saying that they need to remake the movie with him playing her. It's just wrong. It's just wrong, folks. They're gaslighting you. They're gaslighting you. And I know I've spoken about this before, but they keep coming back out with more and more stuff. Facial feminization surgery, are you kidding me? Stop it. We have to stop this. We have to stop letting them gaslight us, especially the women. And I know that there's going to be some feminist woman that'll see this video one day. How's a man going to tell me how to feel? I'm not trying to tell you how to feel. But I'm just saying, stop letting them gaslight you. Stop letting them compete in your women's beauty pageants. Stop letting that happen. And definitely, if they are competing in it, stop clapping for them and posing with them for pictures when you know that the woke mob is just going to vote for them to show how woke they are, show how good they are. I'm a good person. We voted for this man. Women are beautiful and unique, and men cannot just wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a woman. That's not how this works. You cannot just wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a woman. That is such an insult to women. Women, you are worth more than that. And I'm so proud there are so many women. You can go online, social media, and see that there are women all over the place that are standing up to this crap because it has to stop. This is crazy. They're gaslighting us, folks. And they're gaslighting your children. Like I said, when I was going onto the Dylan Mulvaney page, there were kids from our youth group that were liking and responding to this about how beautiful she is and all of this other stuff. It has to stop. It has to stop. Speaking of children, I just mentioned this to you, that I've been in youth ministry. I'm a youth leader at our church right now. But in case you didn't know that about me, yes, I was a youth pastor. I've been an associate pastor. I've been a senior pastor. I've done all of these things in ministry. I have a pastor's heart. That's what I do. I started out in youth ministry though. Started out as a youth leader, then became the youth pastor. And back when I was doing youth ministry, there was this trend that was going around. And some of you may know this, you may be old enough to remember this, but there was a trend that was going around on social media called Will It Taco. And what we would do in our youth group is we would play this game, and what you do is we would fill up a taco shell with like jelly beans and whipped cream, and you put like corn, whatever you wanted to put in there, and then you'd have a student eat it, and they'd say if it was good or not, right? So the question was, will it taco? Recently on this trip that I was on, we were discussing youth ministry, and it made me reminisce about that game. Will it taco? It was so fun watching the students do it. They had a blast. It was so cool. But I was thinking about it with this Tyree Nichols situation that just took place, that video that they just released. And before I say anything further about what took place there, let me say this. What happened at Tyree Nichols was horrible, okay? It was one of the absolute worst things I have ever seen in my life. Those 5 officers were thugs. They were absolutely wrong for what they did, and they deserve to be punished to the fullest extent of the law. Because when you put that badge on, it is your job to uphold the law. And when a criminal is getting out of line, you do what is needed to do to get them back in line so that they are back, so that you can get back to maintaining the law. And sometimes that means violence. I understand that. And again, I'm not even saying that this was warranted. They yanked this man out of the car. So I don't know what he did. I should have dived into it deeper. I just saw the video and knew what they did was wrong. What these people did were absolutely wrong. Okay, they pulled this man out of his car. They stomped him on the head. They hit him, punched him, sprayed pepper spray in his face. They did all of this stuff to him. 5 of these monsters. In this instance, they were 100% wrong, and they deserve to be punished to the fullest extent of the law. I hope that they do. I hope that they are. I really do mean that. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, though, and since we're talking about gaslighting, I find it interesting how many of this, or how many of all of these people saw this thing play out. Because we have 5 black men that were the officers in this case, right? 5 black men that have committed this crime. So my question for you is this, in this new segment that we're going to start, will it white supremacy? Just imagine some cool graphic coming in when we get to that space. But my question is, will it white supremacy? Now, again, setting this scene up for you. I'm not going to show you the video because it's horrendous. You can go look it up yourself if you want to see it. But here's the scene. 5 black police officers beat a black man to death. Okay? Nothing white about it. No white person in sight in this situation. In the hands of the media, I ask you one more time. Will it white supremacy? Let's find out. Here's a video of Van Jones at CNN. Let's see what Van Jones has to say.
In a recent opinion piece on CNN.com, Van, you wrote, the police who killed Tyree Nichols were black, but they might still have been driven by racism. And I was struck by the part of the piece where you wrote this. One of the sad facts about anti-black racism is that black people ourselves are not immune to its pernicious effects. Society's message that black people are inferior, unworthy, and dangerous is pervasive. Over many decades, numerous experiments have shown that these ideas can infiltrate black minds as well as white. Self-hatred is a real thing. So you believe this racial bias played a role in the officers' behaviors?
Yeah, I do because, first of all, black people are at risk from police no matter what color. Black, white, brown, you talk to African Americans, they'll tell you it doesn't matter. There's this pervasive view from law enforcement that if you're black, you're dangerous. And I think some people think, oh, well, so a white police officer going after a black person, you understand the racial implications. The problem is there are whole neighborhoods that in many cities are just considered by police departments kind of war zones, and anything goes there. And so I think we have to have a more nuanced view of what's going on to root out racism. It's not just about having black cops or white cops or brown cops. It's about having cops that are trained to respect everyone and who are disciplined and punished when they don't. And when you don't have that in place, black people are at risk no matter the color of the police officer.
It goes on. You can go watch it. It's Van Jones. There you go, folks. He answers the question for us. This is racist. And I know you were hoping, just like me, that there's no way that the media will be able to spin this to fuel the racism narrative that they always fuel. But you, just like me, would be wrong. Van Jones lays it out. He lays it out perfectly here. And once he said it, and it had me thinking, I was like, how could I not see that? Now, before I dive into that, we do have to understand what racism actually means. So here is the Merriam-Webster's dictionary definition as of February 5th, 2023, because you know they like to change definitions on us. It says this: a belief that race is a fundamental determinant of human traits and capacities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. Again, a belief that a race is a fundamental determinant of human traits and capacities, and that all racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. So there's the definition according to Merriam-Webster, February 5th, 2023. But that's old racism. Here, Van Jones tells you that if you're thinking about it that way, then you're thinking about it the wrong way, folks. If you're thinking about racism that way, then you're thinking about it the wrong way. It is no longer about racial differences. It's about police killing a black person regardless of their color. That is racism. And honestly, you should have known that. I should have known that. And here's the thing. If you didn't know that, you need to check yourself. You need to go take some affirming classes. You need to go take some sensitivity courses. You need to go do all of those things because you're a bad person. That's what they're telling you. Here's the thing. We could go on and on with the different examples of people gaslighting you. Literally, I mean, there's tons and tons and tons of examples that we could use to paint this picture for you. But if I did that, we'd be here for hours. And ain't nobody got time for that, right? So we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that in this moment, because here's what I want to do with you today. I want to show you the ultimate gaslight, if I may. I want to show you what the plan is really supposed to be, if you don't mind. So allow me for a second to show you a video. Now, you're going to hear some popping and stuff in this video. It's not from us. It's from the video itself. Their microphones were popping. So that's what that's from. But let's watch this and then we'll dive into the dialogue. I want to show you this video of Klaus Schwab, if you don't mind. He's from the World Economic Forum. And this is he talking about the World Economic Forum and rising up leaders. Here you go.
Thank you, Klaus. We're definitely privileged and thankful that you've come back, and we want to thank you not only for what you've done for this school, but what you've done for the world. You've devoted your life to making the world a better place, something which goes to the heart of what the Kennedy School is all about. It's been striking to us as we've had the pleasure, and this goes back to Dean Elwood, that when you brought the Young Global Leaders Program here for executive education and the Schwab Fellows. But there are two countries in the world now in which the young global leaders have emerged. Tell us just a bit about that in terms of the governance.
Yes, actually, this notion to integrate young leaders is part of the World Economic Forum since many years. And I have to say, when I mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm. But what we are very proud of now, the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
And that's true.
So did you hear what he said? Pay attention to the words that he said. He said that we have been wanting to always integrate young leaders. It's been part of this plan for the World Economic Forum for many years. So hear what he's saying. He says these leaders that we see, like Justin Trudeau, people in Argentina, and so on and so forth, they penetrate the cabinets. This is their plan. Now, follow my thinking on this, because do you ever stop to wonder why, when COVID happened? Now, I guess we got to go back even further than that. Glenn Beck talks about this all the time. He said that the people at the World Economic Forum, these leaders got together and they had the pandemic council or whatever it was called, and they discussed what they were going to do if a pandemic hit. And the pandemic that they were focused on was coronavirus. It was a coronavirus discussion with all of these people. And they had their emergency plan for fixing the pandemic. And then when they got done and they wrapped up, a couple of months later, boom, here's COVID. Here's this world pandemic. It just so happened to hit. And where I disagree with Glenn Beck is, Glenn, it has to that's a coincidence. That's just a coincidence. But here's these people, they had this emergency strategy meeting about the coronavirus, and then it just happens to take place. It just happens to hit the world. And I just find that sometimes to be so odd. Because here these people are preparing for it, and then boom, we have this global pandemic that hits. But it doesn't make sense, or actually I should say, doesn't make sense now why all of these leaders behaved in the exact same manner that they did. Does it make sense now? What were they all doing around the world? Think about the narrative, right? Stay home, get the shot, wear your mask, trust us, we're your source of truth. You remember that? That's when we started to see this disinformation and misinformation stuff popping up. Believe us, we will be your source of truth. And it goes so on and so forth. They were all in lockstep with one another, all around the world. We are the government, and you will do what we tell you to do, and you cannot ask questions about it. Now, don't hear, sorry. Now, you don't hear that pushed much in the media. Why is that? Why is that? Because it is more important for them to have us fighting with one another over things like girls going to the gym to set guys up, right? We've seen that trend going on here recently. Oh my gosh, I feel so unsafe. He's looking at me in the gym. Yes, I'm wearing this tight sports bra, and yes, my butt is sticking out, but that doesn't matter. Look at what he's doing. Disregard the stuff that I'm wearing. He is making me feel unsafe. And so they film these guys and then they post it on their TikToks to get this attention. That's the kind of attention that they want. They're going to secretly film the guy and then put him on blast that he's the pervert. And yes, that is super annoying. And yes, what is happening? We have people fighting about it all over social media, right? Yes, it is frustrating that people like Jeffrey Marsh and Dylan Mulvaney are talking to your kids, and they talk to us like we're crazy and that we're the ignorant people and that they're the ones that are writing. And Jeffrey Marsh says, you can come be a part of my family. Just because they don't see you doesn't mean that I don't see you. You exist. I love you. I'm going to go cry. Oh my gosh. It's weird. And yes, it's frustrating, but it's part of the plan. It's frustrating that they had mask mandates, that you couldn't decide what you wanted to do. It's frustrating that there's a disinformation police and that there's racism and all of these other things that are going on. We could literally continue with this list. It would never be ending. But what is more frustrating is that we, the people, keep giving in to their gaslighting. Folks, they are pushing an agenda through and they're shoving it down our throats, and they're not paying attention. People are not paying attention. These people are all from the same cloth. Klaus Schwab just said it himself. He says, I am thankful that we have people that have come through the World Economic Forum, and now they're they're penetrating the cabinets. And not just that, but then he's putting 50% of his cabinet are believers in the things that we say. These people are all from the same cloth. They will not be stopped. They will not be stopped unless we stand up against them. These people are evil. Here's Justin Trudeau talking about people protesting. Now, I want you to hear what he says in this video. I have to show you a full screen so you can't see my reaction to it, but because the way that this video was loaded. But I want you to see this and see the stuff that they say. This is Justin Trudeau, folks.
You know, some of their asks are non-starters, like overturning the results of the election that we just had. But in terms of responding to their demands or legitimizing them by engaging, I'm highlighting that I'm worried about setting a precedent that a blockade on Wellington Street can lead to changing public policy. People need to be heard, but we need to get that balance right. And then she agreed that I need to be cautious and I don't want to set any bad precedents.
Okay, so fairly self-explanatory. There's a willingness to discuss, but you were concerned about setting a precedent where a blockade could equal a change in public policy. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think we have a robust functioning democracy, and public protests are an important part of making sure we're getting messages out there, and Canadians are getting messages out there and highlighting how they feel about various issues. But using protests to demand changes to public policy is something that I think is worrisome.
Okay.
Did you hear what he said? Where do you think he learned that from, folks? That's from people like Klaus Schwab. That's from people in the World Economic Forum. That is these rich and powerful people getting together and indoctrinating the next generation so that they will continue with this plan of world domination. These people are monsters. These people are monsters. I want you to think about the gaslighting that's taking place here. He will come out and he will kneel with you when you're fighting over BLM riots. He'll come out and he'll march with you when it's about Pride Month. They'll ridicule you when people say, why are you trying to ban certain books in our kids' schools? Well, we're saying that we want to ban them because they're pornographic material. Oh, you're a bigot. But as soon as some of the people turn the torpedoes towards the government, whoa, wait a minute. You can't do that. You can't do that. When the trucker convoy was going through Canada, shut those truckers down. Who the hell do they think they are? See? Same thing that was going on here in America. Wait, whoa. People were walking through the Capitol building. Insurrectionist, right? This isn't a BLM riot. I'm going to kneel in solidarity to that. I'm going to kneel in solidarity to transgender affirming care for kids. I'm going to do all of these things. But when you come into this building and you sit at Nancy Pelosi's desk, you're a danger to society. Throw them in solitary confinement. Send them to the harshest of conditions. Sure, we have stories of a grown man raping 9-year-olds and 4-year-old girls multiple times. Give him 180 days in jail. And you know what? On top of that, no, he doesn't have to register as a sex offender. That sounds like a fair punishment. But what happens when you read those stories? Outrage happens. How could you do that? How could you do that? And then I saw people on Twitter, some sides were saying to kill him. I would personally probably lean more in that camp. Well, I don't know why we don't use the death penalty more often. That guy's a monster. But then you have people on the other side that are actually defending pedophilia. And it is sick. It is disgusting. These people are perverts. And the government says nothing about it. Why? It's because they're gaslighting us. See, that's what we miss. That's what we miss. Tuning into the World Economic Forum. See, we miss when Trudeau says, I find it worrisome that people try and protest policies. What do you think that we're doing out here, Justin? We're protesting because we don't like something. We're not standing out here in the middle of the cold throwing a party for you. We're out here honking our horns and bringing our trucks out because we're protesting things about the government that we don't like. We're angry and we want to see change. But see, they will never let that change come. They will never let that change happen. And I have people where I live in Pennsylvania, and they will say to me, Michael, don't you think you sound like a conspiracy theorist? Think about this, Michael. If they were really trying to hide something, then why would they be talking about it, referring to the cyber attacks that are going on? If they were really plotting to do a cyber attack, Michael, why would they tell us that it's coming? They just do it to us. Don't you think so? You sound like a conspiracy theorist. People, have you ever heard of the term hiding in plain sight? Have you ever heard of that term? Folks, their tactics are so overt that they're actually covert. Again, did you know that Justin Trudeau came up through the World Economic Forum? That Klaus Schwab is praising the fact that he's in there? Did you not find it weird that these governing leaders all around the world were saying things like the Great Reset? No, sorry, they don't say that. They don't say that. They say build back better is what they were all saying. This is a great opportunity for us to build back better. You can go see Justin Trudeau, Joe Biden, Jacinda Ardern, or however you say her name out in New Zealand. All of these people were saying this stuff. Build back better. This is the time to build back better. We know what that really means, though. See, this goes back to my first video, folks. They are mocking you. They're mocking you. They're gaslighting you. And they're not just coming for you. They're coming for your kids. Look at the stuff that they're teaching our kids in schools. Look at the stuff that they're teaching our kids. Folks, I'm telling you, you got to watch the stuff that your kids are getting into. Disney Plus, dangerous. Look at that stuff that they're indoctrinating your kids with. BLM stuff, racist stuff, white people suck stuff, gay stuff is great. All of this stuff is coming through your kids' shows. Look what they're teaching them in school, teaching them how to protest, teaching them how to riot, teaching them things like the 1619 Project. Folks, it's time for us to wake up or we will lose our freedoms. It's time for us to wake up or we will lose our country. I plan to talk more about the World Economic Forum and the strategies that they're using sometime in the future. I'm trying to dig into it and get as much information as I can. There's so much out there that it's hard to get the accurate information, but I'm working on it. But until then, I want to remind you of this. They are gaslighting you. And folks, if you are waiting for the government or people in positions of power to make your world a better place, if you're waiting on teachers to make your child a better person, your hope is in the wrong place, man. If we want to make our world a better place, folks, it's not going to come through performing these mostly peaceful protests that they constantly tell us are happening, even though they end up being some of the most costly and dangerous protest riots that are going on in our country. But they're gaslighting you. Stop using the word violence because we're destroying property. We're not violence against people, and violence only counts when you're hurting another person. Really? Folks, it's not going to come through those means. It's going to come, our world will become a better place by the way we learn to treat our neighbors. If we learn to treat our neighbors with honor. I know I've said this to you before, and I got to keep saying it. Our world becomes a better place when we learn how to treat our neighbor. And I'm not just talking about people that live on your street. I'm not talking about just people that look like you. I'm saying the person that you run into at the grocery store. I'm saying the person that you see when you go to the bank. When you see a person walking their dog, how do you treat these people? Because until we learn how to treat one another with compassion again, and trust me, I am no saint when it comes to this. If you follow me on Twitter, I can get rowdy with the best of them, right? But until we can get to a place where we're treating one another with love and compassion and respect, they will continue to be able to divide us by gaslighting us. And the old saying is still true, folks. Divided we fall. We have to remember who the real enemy is, and it is not each other. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Michael Washington. Please share this video with people that you know. Help to get this word out. I just want as many people to get this information as possible. Follow me on Twitter. It's not Miguel. You can find me there. You can find me on Instagram at Michael Washington, folks. I love connecting with you. With that being said, I'm going to go get myself some medicine. This has been the 529 Initiative. And remember that in a world full of gaslighting, you should always stay vigilant. With that being said, be good out there, folks. I will catch you next week. Peace.